Happy still of you. I'm happy to see you. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Gina and James and Crystal Blue. Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited to chat with you today. I'm going to give people a minute to get here. It's a little weird, so just bear with me with the sound and the setting and all of that. It's just different. It's just different here. So it's always weird when you don't have your normal setup, or you're in a different space. It's kind of different. So I wanted to talk first. I felt actually really pulled to this subject, so it must be important. And I have had people ask me about this recently several times in different, like in classes, in email, so I know it's a thing that's happening right now. And I know that it's kind of a challenge right now for a lot of people, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this split up of kind of old souls and young souls. And we touched on this a little bit. And first of all, the reason this is coming up is because people keep asking the question about, I have a relative or a family member or a friend, and they don't share my political views, or they don't have the same capacity for compassion or for empathy, or maybe they are, having they maybe have different views on, race and gender and things like that. So people are asking, should we, cut people off? Because we heard a lot about that right after the election, right? People were devastated and angry, and, and you saw a lot of this just cutting people off. And so I wanted to ask about this because this has come up, like I said, over and over again. And if this pauses or anything, just give me a second, because it's just, like I said, it's just a different setup. So, but basically what they started to talk about was this split of young and old souls, which was something we talked about when Marie Manucheri was on. She talked about this kind of, that we have a lot of old souls and a lot of young souls. And that you do have this situation where there might be just a couple of old souls in a family surrounded by young souls and things like that. So you have these really interesting makeups in families. And of course, spirit always, not always, so often though, wants to give us a new perspective. Right. And of course, miracles, that's the miracle, is the change, the switch in perception. How do I see the earth perspective? How do I see this differently? Right. Because I have no power over other people. I have power over myself. So how do I see this differently so I can handle this, or so I can deal with this? So of course, that's where they're going to go with this when I ask the question. But what they want us to know is that, so yes, there are a lot of old souls on the planet right now, and there are a lot of young souls on the planet right now. And I asked, Julie's here. Hi, Julie. Aloha. She's serving a mission in Hawaii right now. So nice to see you. Nice to see you too. Call me. Call me. You can call me when I'm done if you want. You have to call me through Messenger though, because I can't get my regular phone. Anyway. But they talked about old souls and young souls, right? And old souls are extremely compassionate, empathetic. They don't have the same type of fears and things that a lot of young souls do. And young souls are very, aren't as, don't tend to be. And there's exceptions to these too. This doesn't have to be this way, but this is kind of the makeup to kind of what, this is. So that the young souls tend to be a little more self-centered, a little less empathetic towards other people, a little less compassionate towards other people, maybe other groups or people different from them. They have a lot of fears. that play into this. They tend to want to be also in things like, you know, in groups where they feel very safe. So, the military, or, you know, places where we think the same and we dress the same, that kind of thing. So maybe a organized religion, maybe cults even, but it's this wanting to feel safe here, right? And wanting more like structure and rules and things like that. And old souls tend not to like that. I can't even wear like a Fitbit because I feel like I don't want to be monitored. I want to do my own thing. I make my own decisions, right? So they have these, they have the, and they each have their own kind of hangups, right? Because older souls tend to get very frustrated with younger souls and be like, just be, you know, just raise your consciousness already. I get very irritated and like don't understand them sometimes, right? We really get frustrated with them, and younger souls are kind of, you know, lost in their own world, and they really don't care about what's happening over in this country. Like I said, there's exceptions to all of this, obviously. This is just an overall view. But I did ask Marie one question, and she's like, I don't know. And so I wanted to explore this with my guides, which is, why are there so many old souls and young souls and not so many medium souls? And what they said was that we decided that that would be the makeup that would give us the best chance of moving as quickly as possible to a new consciousness. So that was what we decided. So we decided that this would be, for different reasons, this would be the makeup that would give us the best chance of doing it as quickly as possible. And we can guess, you know, and think about in the different ways why that might be, right? Because we each challenge each other. We challenge each other in different ways. But what they said was that old souls, one of their makeups is that they tend to really want deep connection with people, deep relationships. They don't really like surface kind of things. They want to, so they are the ones who tend to want to find their best friend. You know, they want to find their spouse or their significant other. They really crave these very deep connections with people. So Sassy says, we must have been drunk off our bus, so we decided that, right? But you could, like I said, you could see why. You could see some reasons why that is, and some we may know and be able to figure out, and others we may not know and understand. But this is what we decided. So, now I lost my train of thought. So older souls, they tend to be, could somebody give me a word or something? What was I just talking about? They crave really, really deep relationships and deep soul connections. Thank you, Ruby. And so what that means is that when they can't have that with certain people, or they try, and maybe a younger soul is more selfish. You know, they're never around when they need them. They let them down, or they disappoint them. You know, they disappoint the older souls, or they say something rude or unkind, or they are flippant about something that's very important to us. You know, that it really, it's almost as if the older soul is like, either I have this deep, deep connection with someone, or I have nothing. So they tend to be kind of doing that right now, because they don't want to, not everybody, but it's hard for them to just have surface level relationships. But what my guide said was that that's what's called for right now, is these people that tend to be more self-centered, and maybe you can't count on them like you can somebody else. Maybe you can't, maybe they do say rude things sometimes, and, you know, like not like other people. it's not that you're wanting to be punished, and we're going to separate out people that are extremely toxic or abusive or anything. That's a whole other category, and no, you should not be around those people. That's that a whole thing. This is more just the people that don't agree with you, and maybe they're a little, not very sensitive and not very compassionate or whatever. Push your buttons, things like that. That it's okay to have just a surface relationship with these people. A very just pleasant, not expecting anything, treating them more like an acquaintance rather than a sister or a brother or a mom or a dad or a son or a daughter, to treat them like an acquaintance, where it's polite, it is cordial, but there's nothing deep. And because that's where the hurt comes in for the older soul, right? And so just allowing them to be what they are. And it's not that you like that behavior or you love it, but what you're trying to do, because the other thing that they said was, it's very important and it's very useful for younger souls to see how older souls operate. It's good to see that example for them. And it may force some change, or it may help them to see things differently on some level. I had a very surface but pleasant relationship with a family member who has since passed away, but was MAGA. And we met on certain subjects. I talked about this before. We met on certain things. We both liked music, so we met on that subject. He cared about his garden and in his certain ways the environment, right? So he liked to recycle and things like that. So, but it was very surface. It was never going to be a really deep relationship, right? But it's okay. It's okay. It was what it was, and it was allowed to be something rather than nothing, right? At least there was a relationship there. And now that he's gone, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that judgment didn't enter into it. Where I don't know if you judged me or not, but I didn't feel, because I didn't have this deep expectation and this wanting this deep relationship, I didn't judge in the same way. I could kind of back up and just let it be what it is, because I'm not seeking that deep connection. I'm just seeking to get along and have a connection, right? And this may be useful too if, like, you're having problems with a son or daughter and the grandchildren are involved, right? You want to be involved, having that surface connection. And so one way that came up to do this was to go to places together that are new to you both. Why? Because when you go to new places, you're very, very in the moment. That's why so many people love to travel and go to new places. It really does make you feel alive in a different way. And so do things together that are, if you go to the park all the time, go to a new park, go to a new restaurant, go to a new, and because what will happen too is that, and we talk about this a lot, when you're in the moment, you're at a point of power. You're also connected. And that's for everybody. That's not just for people that know about it. You're connected. That's why it feels so good. That's why it feels so good to be in the present, and why it can be exhilarating and make you feel like you're really living and that kind of thing. So you're really at one with life, and it will give you the best chance of both of you being in a good place to get along. Yeah, so that's what they said. So I hope that helps with that question. And so I'm going to go ahead and go up and answer your questions. Oh, one more thing. I put it in the description. Our community member, Heather, got in touch with me and said that her friend just opened up a business. However, the tariffs are going to kill her. So she's asking then she sells doggy stuff, pet stuff. So if you are, I'm definitely going to go on and get something. And so if you are able to, if you can afford it, if you like that kind of thing, please think about going on and just doing something to help her little business, because like I said, I just want to help, and I know that all of you are always looking for ways to help and assist other people. This is a way, and so think about it. Think about going and doing that. I think it would really, really help her. So. And she didn't put her first name, but her business is there in the description. And yeah, just go ahead and go on and check out her little store. And even if you don't find anything, tell her good luck, and we wish you the very best. And we know you're going to make it. And yeah, we just need to be here for each other, right? All right. So Merida's mirror says, hope you're enjoying your jolly old England. Yay! I have a difficult but important question. There is a chat of our banks in the US failing. What do the guys have to say about it? Is it time to act? Okay, so, and this is kind of a political question, but I'm going to ask it in a way that is a little more maybe spirit based, and maybe ask, what can we do to ensure that we are that gives us the best chance of weathering all of this where finances are concerned. Okay, so I'm going to ask that question. Okay, so they're giving they're giving a little bit of information, but they're also giving spiritual advice, what we should do. So first of all, they are saying that we're going to see a lot of like tumult in the financial area for a while. It's going to be, but they're making me feel like it's going to be sort of like hit and miss. Like it's not going to be everything. It's going to be certain things, like we saw the stock market, right, or the bond market, or and maybe certain banks, that kind of thing. And they're talking about, first of all, and I can't express this enough, because it's the wrong place to be to make the right decisions. Do not go into fear. And I realize that this atmosphere is incredibly nerve-wracking. And when you depend on some of these services, or your family members depend on these services, it's incredibly, difficult. But they are strongly telling us to stay out of fear. And part of that is because it's the worst place to make decisions from when you need to make good decisions. It's just not good. Now, in an animalistic way, it might keep you safe, like running from something, or that kind of thing. But when it comes to so many life decisions, you need to be connected, and your guides will let you know. That's the thing, right? That's so important. We all have guides. I'm not the only one that has guides. We all have them. And they're constantly trying to help us. Our family members are there trying to help us. I'll have a story for you from today that I'll share with you. But we all have this. The problem is that it's incumbent upon us to plug in and stay plugged in. We're the ones that turn away and get distracted, not them. Okay, so what they're telling you is first, stay out of fear. This is a really, really good opportunity to build trust with your team. Build that trust with your team. Know they have your back. Know the universe has your back. I remember seeing, I can't think, for Marianne Williamson one time talking about the fact that when you are done wrong in some way, in any way, when you have been done wrong, the universe is on it. It's on it. You don't have to worry about these things. They're set up, right? So it's just our belief and our faith and looking for, being awake and seeing the signs, the symbols, the opportunities, the whisperings, the nudgings, the urges. All of these things are ways to get us to move in the right direction, to go here, not here. And it's constant. But we need to stay plugged in. And so once again, staying present, but they're also talking about keeping your vibration high. And the easiest way to do that is, we've talked about this also, joyful things, happy things, fun things. And I actually think we talked about this with Maria as well. Her name is coming up all the time, but I think we talked about this with her as well. It's not, when you think about staying in your joy, it's not a phonetic kind of like happy, happy, happy. It's not that. It's more peaceful. It's calming. It's peaceful. It's just, it makes you feel like everything is great in the world. Everything is perfect. Everything is exactly as it should be. It's a feeling of contentment, right? And those can come in little things. It doesn't have to be big things. And they just said, leaning in when you have a moment like that. The other day I walked out in this I'm in like an apartment. Sorry. I walked out the door and across the street is a mall. And for the mall, they have all these food trucks, and they have one that's a churros truck. And at a certain time in the morning, it just smells like just churros filling the air. And I walked out and it was glorious. And I just stood there. I don't even know how long. People thought I was high or something, but I just smelled the churros and just stood there because it gave me that feeling that I was in the moment. I was in this content space. It smelled so good. I mean, it was just delightful. So being able to recognize that space for you, because it's different for everybody. And sometimes it is like that. Like, it'll come in a surprise. Maybe you'll see a cute dog on the street, or you'll see something cute with a mom and a child, or you might have hobbies and things that bring that to you. Painting or gardening or just walking outside or sitting on your porch. It's usually not big, elaborate things like an amusement park. That's more happiness, right? And it's more out here. You can have that contentment even with nothing out here, just being in the present and just kind of sitting and being like, everything's fine, everything's okay. I'm here and I'm in my home and it's quiet, and but getting to that content space. But when you bring in those things that are just the niceness of life, it brings in that element of joy. And that keeps you connected. It keeps your vibration high. And that's where we hear stuff. That's where we recognize stuff. it can be very challenging right now. And what I would say is stay away from anything that is hard to hear, hard to listen to, hard, the news is just intolerable right now. Things like, but that's how you're going to know when to move your money, when to be, aware that maybe this isn't so great, or maybe I should wait to invest in this, or maybe this would not be a good time to move, or maybe this would be a really good time to move, right? We're having to make those decisions right now. Kind of, when do we do this? How do we do this? Do we, sell our place? Do we decide to stay for a year or two, or do we just want to do it a few months at a time? So it's all of that. But to make all of those decisions, I know I have to keep my vibration high, because in that space, it's going to be fine. I know my guides will guide me, and I know they'll give me the right things to do. And I know that even if I misstep, that's okay too. That something good will come of it, because that's the way it works, so that trust, building that trust, so that's what I'm getting. So I hope that helps. Okay. All right. Miriam, does tinnitus keep you from hearing your spirit guides? I'm always asking to hear or see messages, but my head has a continuous high-pitched noise. Oh, I'm sorry. Tinnitus. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because when you hear your spirit guides, and what I would do is maybe move more into the body to hear them, or to get confirmation, or that kind of thing. So chills, or just feeling the kind of that peace or contentment come over you, looking for urges, or things that kind of move you in a certain direction. But tinnitus it's an actual sound that you're hearing. I think it's an internal thing that's happening, but it's an actual sound that you're hearing. And hearing your guides, first of all, they can give you pictures, right? They can give you lots of pictures if you're more clairvoyant. If you're claircognizant, they can give you that knowing. I just know. I don't know how I know, but I just know it. You can also use a tool. You can use a yes or no tool, like the dowsing rod, or the pendulum, or you can use cards. This may be an opportunity to use a tool if you've never used one before. So you can do that as well. So that there are lots of ways to connect. There's not just hearing them. And even when you hear something, it's internal. It's not. So right now, if you thought of the memory of what it sounds like when a dog is barking. So if you paused and just heard in your mind what it sounds like when a dog barks, that's what it feels like to get a clairaudient message. It's like the memory of a sound. It's inside. Now, sometimes you can have things that are so loud in your head. I've had a couple of those experiences with my dad, where it's so loud in your head, it feels like it's outside, but it's internal. It's telepathy. So no, you can still, there are still a myriad of ways of making connection, even with tinnitus. And even if you're not good at visualizing, it doesn't come naturally to you, there's always other ways. And so, yeah, so no. All right. But at the same time, I hope that it gets better, because it would be really, really hard to have that. So Gina would like a collective message meant for all of us. Sure, Gina, I can do that right now. So I feel like they want to assure us right now. They're saying that so many things that we're seeing are, almost beyond. It's almost like you can't believe what you're seeing. You can't believe what you're witnessing. They're saying that you're seeing a lot of extremes, because as much as you're seeing the extreme negative, you're also seeing the extreme positive. You're seeing so many people that care and want to help and want to change things and do better and be better. You're seeing sort of the actual, they're saying like the actual like range of what would you say, like a lower vibration and a higher vibration. Why we come here, right? But they're like, but it's being displayed in a very like obvious and different way that's very difficult. And so there's a need to understand that there are no experience right now is being wasted. And that every single thing that is happening is pushing us to the positive, even though it's a negative thing, or we view it as a very negative thing or a bad thing, that everything is pushing us to the positive. And so to keep that in mind, that it's almost like they're saying we're not really seeing what we think we're seeing. And so it's just the form it's taking. But they're saying that a lot of these, talked about these very old things, war. It's almost like this last go around. So, but it's teaching us, it's showing us, right? And they're saying with every like act, pretend or imagine it's a question. Do you still want this? Do you still like this? Is this useful to you still? So it's almost as if they're, with every negative action or every negative thing, they're asking us a question. And it's up to us to answer that call or answer that question. They're saying like, we're safe. You guys are safe. This is an experience, an experiment. It has its own rules. It has its own structure, and it is like a rare privilege to come here, and that the reasons. Okay, sorry. So the reasons why I feel like I just got a download. So the reasons why is because there are only certain experiences we can have here. We've talked about this before, but they're saying this is we come here for these really, really rare experiences that teach us very, very quickly. And there are so many of the things that are here we never experience in the spirit realm. And not only that, we can't experience in the spirit realm. They just do not exist. These lower level energies, they're saying there are what we might call like a ghost or something like that, or they're kind of like around the earth plane, or they're kind of like not stuck here, but like still interested in this place and want to kind of hang around or whatever. But they're saying there just isn't the kind of threat you feel under, the fear you feel, the yucky stuff that's so upsetting and so awful. It does not exist there. So they're like, this is just, it really is an experience to teach. And with that experience to teach, there's also a leveling up that's happening right now that we will all, many of us will see. We'll be able to see it. They're like, it won't be in full, like it won't be in full bloom for a lot of us when we leave the planet, as we get older, but it will be, you'll definitely see it coming. And you definitely see like the evidence of it basically. But these old, but when you're witnessing people getting killed and people getting hurt and things like that, know that that we choose the time and the circumstance of our passing, that there's always a reason for it. And I don't mean like a God's will. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we meticulously planned and gave thought to how we're going to leave. And some it will be more for personal experience and maybe familial growth and experience, right? And some will be on a bigger scale. Some will be kind of a bigger, I'm getting chills with that because we're seeing a lot of that, a bigger scale to call attention to something. You think of all the school shootings, right? All of the people that are going through hardship in climate change things, war stuff, that, and so they're saying this is so they're also saying that a lot of people that do things like that will do it over and over and over again. They love to have a big impact. They love that feeling of affecting the whole. And they're usually very, what is the word? They're very, they've usually, not usually, a lot of times, because I would say it's not like, a lot of times they have kind of completed their own stuff. And so when they leave in a kind of in some way to call attention to something, it is like they're like it's like a service mission. They're coming back for us to show us this, right? So it's very they're very special souls that do things like that. It's the only way I can put it. I know it's kind of an ego thing to say special, but they're very they're just very treasured on the earth plane because of that reason. Their reasons for coming here and leaving the way they do are just different than a lot of souls. But they're letting us know this because they don't want us to be, it's so important for us to stay out of fear. So they're like, we don't want you to be afraid. We don't want you to be afraid, and to know that if you exit in a specific way, something like that, that's how you wanted to do it. That's how you wanted to. It's like, trust yourself. Trust yourself. It's so interesting because this has come up in a few readings where people have said, I'm afraid of dying this way. I'm afraid of this. And you're still you. Like your soul is the deepest parts of you. So often you're going to go in a way that is going to make sense in a lot of ways. Maybe not all the time, but there's definitely reasons why. And they're saying again that so many souls, when they pass or when they leave, that it's very personal. So it can be like, I wanted to understand the body or the breakdown of the body or things like that, or it's familial, giving the people around you a chance to be caretakers or to take care of you or say goodbye or what. It's that kind of thing. But they don't want us to be afraid of it because we were part of the planners. And they're saying not only that, but everything. We're part of the process of planning everything. So trust yourself, trust your guides. We're okay. This is a temporary experience for all of us. And that it's nothing to be afraid of or worried about. It's gonna all be okay. And they're also saying to strive to have your own experiences that confirm this for you. If you want to know, we've talked about this too, having your own spiritual experiences, having your own, and these things, you ask for them, you work for them, and trust them to bring them to you when it's the right time. Sometimes it's when, I know that for me, my out-of-body experience finally happened when I just kind of let it go. I'd been working towards it. And it was when I kind of just let it go for, because I was traveling, I kind of let go. That's when it happened. So, they like to surprise us. They do like to give us surprises. And sometimes there is that the need to let go, right? And some of that is what they're talking about here, right? Trusting, there is a surrender in trust, right? There is that, I put it in your hands, or I put it in my hands, right? Because we decided these things. We don't remember deciding them, but we did. Deciding to come here, and deciding who our parents are, and deciding, what kind of experience we have, and why we're here for the collective and for ourselves. And, so we know, we really know what's going on. And moving into a practice, meditation, mindfulness, however you find that is the best for you. But when you move into those places, when you go within, you feel that. You feel like everything's okay. Everything's fine. I know everything's fine, Yeah, so that's what they're saying, Gina. And I'll have to go back and watch that because I don't really remember what I just said. I'm a little dizzy right now. But thank you for asking that. So B. Hansen is asking, love you, Kim, love you too. Becky, 3 days of darkness going to occur soon because of the large solar flare on its way to Earth. Thank you. Much love to all. So it was interesting because I was asked about this 3 days of darkness and then like a burst of light. And what I got was that, and you can, you do you, Becky. If you feel differently, it's okay. What I got when I looked at this was that it was more symbolic, and in a way where, but what I feel like is that it's going to be this window where everything seems terrible, to put it in a but it's going to be like a window where that, and then all of a sudden everything changes very suddenly. In fact, my guides talked about this, right? We talked about nirvana, about the changes that happen. That's just the example they gave. But the fact that we could go, like the 80s was like, the 80s had its grip and would not let us go. And the shoulder pads were getting bigger and the hair was getting bigger, and in music, and the makeup, and it just got more and more and more extreme. And you think, how much more extreme can they? Their hair's going to be out to here, and their clothes are going to be so tight they can't breathe. What's going to happen here? And Nirvana happened, and it was like overnight the culture changed. It was the most remarkable thing. Everything was different. And I, when I saw Nirvana, I felt something was happening, because I was mesmerized. I was just like, what is this? This is so, and being, in music, I was just completely enamored, enthralled, interested. But it changed everything. And that is the kind of shift, though, when they talk about this light coming in, that's what it's like. It could be I say the death of somebody, but it could be like the passing of certain people that are bringing in this darkness. It could be um, a, a, a massive collective uprising that changes things overnight, a specific event. But it feels like a period of just extreme, just darkness, where things just feel like the darkness has a grip, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, the light's just there and everything is different. And so that's the way they explained it to me when I looked at it, was it would be more, it's more symbolic, but still the same effect. So whether you could believe it literally, or it's still the same kind of effect, where there is this darkness and then just boom, but with the light, everything changes. Everything is different. Yeah. Oh, Becky, no. These are we do the alphabet thing in the club. We had to split up the club so everyone could get a reading every month. But yeah, no, that's in the club. Today, it's just any kind of spiritual questions you have. I answer them if I can. If I can't, I will post it to, hand it over to my guys, and they are more than happy to assist. And hopefully, I'm, getting it right. And I wanted to ask you guys at the end about a new show that I'm going to be doing. I want to get your just your quick reaction to it, because it's going to happen, but I'm scared. Now we're talking, they're not moving into fear, so I just want to get your initial to give myself some courage. But I wanted to tell you about it, so I will tell you about that at the end. Okay, so Sandra, yeah, so she's asking about, these aren't really personal questions that were, but I'm going to kind of broaden it out, and I'm going to ask about, because I do have other people, Sandra, that are, their kids have, it cut them off, emotionally, or cut them off, not seeing them. And I want to ask about this. With the guides, I want to see what they say about this, because it's a thing, it's a real thing that's happening. Hmm. So that's really interesting. So they're saying that, and particularly in America, because they're kind of putting it here so I don't know if it's common in other countries, as common as it is here. I'm not sure, but they're putting it like here. They're saying like in America, and they're saying this will change. This will change, but there's a real emphasis on happiness, being happy. And what they're really looking for is what we were just talking about, more contentment. That's really what they're looking for. So what they're saying is kind of like they're mistaking kind of looking for contentment. They're instead trying to look for being happy all the time. And that's not possible. It isn't possible, because happiness is it's dependent on what's happening out here. And out here is always up and down. Things are good, things are bad, things are happening. Contentment is found within us. It's our perspective, so that we aren't having to react and change ourselves inside with everything that happens outside. That's how suffering happens, right? Buddha talked about that. Jesus talked about that. Course in Miracles talks about. Out here, if you're just going with that, it's constant struggle, and and constant up and down in your life, then, it's drama, lots of drama. But when you're fixed inside in a good place, in a solid place, trusting your guides, trusting the universe, being content, finding your joy, and filling yourself up within, it doesn't, like I said, out here, it still happens. And it can still throw wrenches at you or whatever, but it's just not as hard. It's easier. It's less tumultuous. It's less dramatic. It's still there because the world is still the world, and you still have challenges but it just isn't seen in the same way. And so it doesn't wreck you completely. And so what the guys are saying is that there are a lot of younger people that really believe that they should be happy all the time. And what is happening is that anything that is hard or is more complicated emotionally, instead of like feeling the feelings and working through it and figuring out what's good, they'll just kind of remove it. And so, and I don't know if this will speak to absolutely everything in your situation, Sandra, but they're saying it's almost like they don't want to feel bad feelings. And so, but that isn't, but going about it in an outward way. So they're removing mom instead of just finding that contentment within. And then whatever happens out here, they have feelings again about mom or feelings about this, it's not as intense. So if mom does or says something they don't like, if they have that contentment inside, they can deal with it. It's fine. It doesn't wreck them. It doesn't, but if they're just going on the outside, if they're just trying to look for happiness, I just need to be happy all the time. And mom does or says these things that make me uncomfortable, or I don't like it, or it reminds me of something, that I'll just remove that. So they've got it backwards. But they're saying this is like happening a lot in the United States, because there is this belief we should be happy. And they're removing stuff out here to be happy rather than going inside to find that contentment, to be able to just deal with whatever's happening out here. It doesn't have the same impact. The stuff's still happening and there's still challenges, but it doesn't have the impact it normally was. And so they're going about it the wrong way. And they're saying too that it's immaturity in a way too, that some people will grow out of this and mature spiritually and things like that, and figure this out. It's just the way there is something in some of our young adults and some of our millennials and people like that are going about this in this way right now. And but there's it'll shift, it'll change. There is a maturity that will happen spiritually and emotionally eventually. So I hope that answers that. It's very interesting, right? And that it's kind of a not just America, but it's happening a lot in America right now. Yeah, interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, Mary. Okay, yeah, prayers for Mary's niece going through IVF. They were so hopeful, but they lost her baby. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's such a painful thing to go through. So, hi, Dan. Hi, Michelle, my belle. Hi, Craig. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we'll lots of prayers. Lots and lots of prayers. Okay. Carol, I'm going to have to ask my guys about this. Are head tingles the same as body chills when spirit is coming in? On the days I have class readings, I get head tingles on and off prior to the sessions. No other info, just tingles. Any insights? Sure. Okay. So they're saying no, it isn't the same actually. They can start like at the head and go through the body, but they're saying when it's just the head, a lot of times it has to do with the crown chakra and the third eye. Kind of these things up here, and that would make sense with the, that you're reading or you have class, you're kind of more centered in those areas, or those things are opening up for you. Yeah, and they're talking about it is like I think they want me to say confirmation of an opening up of the crown chakra and the third eye. So it's not like it's that has to happen, but there's a confirmation about like it's open now that or like it's maybe for people that need it, or people that or that it's helpful to have that or something. So there may be a reason why it happens to certain people and not to other people. But they're saying it's also like a confirmation of like everything's open, or this part is being affected, right? So I hope that is helpful to you. Okay. Kim, can a person be an empath and yet not feel very empathetic towards some individuals at times? Yeah, yeah. And empaths, especially if you're kind of more mature or maybe advanced very spiritually, or advanced spiritually, or an old soul like we were talking about, because there is a need for empaths to learn how to not turn off their empathy, but to manage it, because it can be crippling. It really can be. If you see something that you didn't expect to see, empaths will feel it and play it over and over. Oh, it's like going down a well for an empath. It's really difficult. So in the beginning, they really need to be careful about what they see, and careful, and they probably should be anyway, but you get better at managing that. And I feel like for you, that maybe you've just gotten better at managing and regulating and sort of not processing. We old souls tend to do a lot of analyzing and things like that, and because they're deeper, they're deeper, right? They want these deep connections and these deep things, so they were over analyze and over process and that kind of thing. And when you get to be better at regulating it, and you get to be better at pushing thoughts out, not analyzing so much, not going over things so much, you kind of learn to use your mind as a tool rather than something that can really keep you trapped as an empath, and trapped in those feeling. It's really awful when that happens as an empath. It used to happen to me a lot as a kid. I'd see an animal that was stray, or have a friend that was going through something, and it was just wreck me. And so, but I've gotten much better at understanding the bigger picture and being able to know that it doesn't help for me to be miserable because I see something that is not okay or awful, that I need to do the opposite. I need to become light, and I need to become plugged in, and I need to bring joy in quickly, because that you want to counter that. You don't want to become part of it. And that can be really, really hard as an empath, because your tendency is to feel what they're feeling, right? And so I would just say that you're probably a more experienced empath, or for some reason you're able to just know, this is what I do. Maybe you're an old soul that has, empaths are old souls, but some are better at regulating than others. And that is when we do the empath, of course, we talk a lot about this. Also, Mr. Biggs, there's different kinds of empaths, right? There's physical empaths, mental empaths. And so the way you're being affected could have something to do with that as well. So an intuitive empath, that's what I am. And actually a little bit of everything, but that's yeah. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. I'm gonna go down and give some of the newer questions a chance to get answered. Yeah. So Gina, I went to a funeral for a 100-year-old man. I was so happy for him. I felt very, yeah. So right, and that also you were tuning into him, right? Maybe not the family, or maybe maybe you were tuning into other people that may have given you a different feeling, but clearly you were feeling him, and you were feeling so happy for him. One of the most amazing experiences I ever had at a funeral. That's what happened. I could feel the person, and she was just filling the church. I'd never felt anything like that. It was unbelievable, amazing. But I was just exactly that. Just felt complete and utter joy, contentment. It was beautiful, but I was feeling her, right? Her husband was devastated. I wasn't feeling him. I was feeling her, right? So yeah, that's amazing when that happens. But that's a really good example of that. And it's the focus of the empath, right? You're focused on him instead of so I wanted to ask you guys your response to this that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be doing a show. I've been trying to, and I haven't been thinking about it. I've kind of just waited for something to come, and it came through Cassie. And Cassie said, one of your videos that people seem to really get a lot of joy out of was your conversation with Robin Williams. And she said, do you think you'd want to do a show where you bring in you basically channel a well-known person? It could be a historical figure. It could be a writer, an artist, a celebrity. And basically you would just channel and allow the chat to ask the question, to do the interview, basically to ask the questions. And I had been wanting to do something to replace Thursday Night Live because I felt like people have questions about the world and what's going on, but I wanted to have it be joyful. I didn't want it to be depressing or make things worse or make things more worried or whatever. And when she said this, I thought that would be a great way to have this really uplifting, whoever we brought in, uplifting conversation, and that you guys could be the ones to kind of decide where the conversation goes. And I'm just basically here. I'm just kind of being the channel. And I thought I would love the first guest to be Robin Williams, because I think that would be a great thing. But I feel like I'm going to be stronger in not laughing so much, because I know some people were like, I can't tell, it was, but honestly, it was the feelings. As soon as he left, that kind of like giddiness left too. But it would probably be like maybe 30 minutes to start out with, because I don't think I can hold a conversation that long, but we could just see, we could kind of be experimental in a way. But I really liked that idea. I don't feel that I want to get better at mediumship. I don't feel it's my strongest ability. And I want to get, so it's a little bit selfish too. I really want to get good at channeling and good at mediumship in a way that I'm not intimidated by it. I feel intimidated by it. Although today I had lunch with my son-in-law and Cassie, and his grandmother came through, and I just was like, "Do you care if I tell you?" Because she was really loud and persistent. And I was like, "Do you care if I just tell you?" And he really appreciated it. And I said, "I'm so sorry, your mother-in-law is so weird. I'm so sorry." He's like, "Oh no, it's fine, it's fine." But oh my gosh, you just never know what people think, if they're like, ugh. So anyway, but we're all weird, right, in our own ways. So I'm getting a lot of yeses, which would be great, which is great. I'm so happy. So people are saying yes, yes, yes. Okay, I love that. Sparky says sorry, Leslie says I love the idea. Mountain Sunshine says yes. Kimmy kind of says yes. Paula, yes, that's wonderful. So good. So you kind of had the same reaction that I did, except without the fear, because I'm a little nervous about it, but I feel like, again, I have to move into trust, right? I have to walk the walk as well. And this is a space where I would really have to just trust the process. And I'm sure I will get things wrong, or I will misunderstand, or I will, but it's going to be, I think most of it will be right. And I think, getting to work out and understand my own process. I hope that everybody will be understanding of that and patient, with that as well. Because I think it could be a really useful thing right now, especially bringing in maybe past presidents or people that we'd want to know, people that we want to hear from right now. Rose is weird and wonderful. Yeah, I thought the same thing when she said that, but she said that it's one of the videos that, if you haven't seen it, it was something I did for the club. We'd watched What Dreams May Come, and somebody said, "Why don't we bring in Robin Williams and talk to him?" And so I did. And he was hilarious. And I was almost like, I almost got to the point where I was like, because they were asking the questions and I would just ask him the question. And I almost got a little bit like, what is he going to say? What is he going to say? Because it was just so him. It definitely wasn't me. I don't think that quickly. I'm not that funny. So, but hopefully, but yeah, but I'd really like him to be, because he's kind of the inspiration for it. So I feel like he should be the first guest. Who knows what will ensue, and I'll make sure that he's okay with coming in again. But I thought we'd try it, if not this Thursday, maybe next Thursday. So just look out for it. The name of the show is going to be Spirit Speaks, and it'll be different every week. So it'll be a different person every week. And I'll have you put, not in emails, because my emails are overflowing, but in the comments, just put who you'd like to hear from. And maybe we can do either a vote every week, and do it more democratically, or if somebody feels really like they come in strongly or whatever, we can bring them in. But I won't have, I did ladies' night, and it was so comforting to have Debbie and Andrea there, and doing it by myself. I'm scared. So I hope you guys will just be my rocks, and we'll all kind of do this together and have fun and enjoy this process. And I'll get over my fear and hopefully be much really hone in and broaden out my mediumship skills. Oh, Rush Limbaugh. That would be would he be on my show? He's like, I'm not gonna be on that show. That would be very interesting. Very, very interesting. So you guys can start thinking of people, who you'd like to hear from. And there may be people, that come in, that ask, that want to come in and talk. So we'll just see how this goes. It's very much going to be I'm not going to put a lot of planning into it. I'm going to kind of let it be what it is. I think it's, I think it came through Cassie because I just I didn't really want to think about it because I know that's not how to let it come. But I don't think that idea would have come from me because I would have been too scared. So yeah, be prepared. Exactly. So I'm going to try not to be too surprised or, laugh too much, or I'm sure it will be very interesting. So it'll be live. It'll be live, Kelly, because you guys are going to be asking the questions. I'm just going to be the channel. I'm basically just going to be sitting here and you guys are going to conduct the interview, not me. Because I want you guys to be able to ask the questions you want to ask and get answers too to what you want to know. And I'm just going to kind of step out of the way and I'm a conscious channel, so I'm kind of listening and relaying the information, or I'm seeing things and relaying the information. But hopefully it will get more seamless as I do this. That's what I'm hoping. Joan, gosh, you guys have some great ideas. Joan Rivers, James E. McDonald. I don't know if that is. James E. McDonald. Oh, thank you, Gina. So Gina, if you're willing to, if you're a moderator, it would be great to have the Troll Patrol on there. That would be great. So I don't know why trivia time's up there. I'm sorry about that. Was that up there the whole time? Sorry about that. It's not trivia time at all. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for your input. Oh, President Carter, that would be a great one, Leslie. Yeah, you guys will be, as soon as Cassie mentioned today, I thought of a million names that night. You guys will be thinking of names all night long. Oh, Sidney Poitier. Yes, because he was political as well. So he would be fascinating, Craig. Maybe we'll even have, maybe if you can talk to Clara and see if she'd want to be a guest one day, because I think that would be fascinating. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up, for hanging out. I'm doing the classes over the summer. Someone yelled at me about charging money. It's like, it's an energy exchange. That means you can pay whatever you want. It's a suggested $25, which I don't think is outrageous. I don't think it's an outrageous thing. But it's a suggested $25 donation for the entire class or the entire thing. It's not per class. So just to get that straight as well. There's going to be a New Earth study group. Again, that's 10 weeks. There's going to be the 4-week empath workshop, and then we're going to have a new one that's going to be orbs. So we're going to be sharing orb footage and having little lessons to be able to help us to contact and communicate with orbs. If you're interested in, that's okay. Sparky, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay. If you want to take a class, just let me know, right? It's because people will pay a little, people that can will pay a little bit more. People will pay less. It's okay. It's an energy exchange. It's not, the point of it is not the money. It's an energy exchange. It's just so I don't get completely depleted. That's all it is. Okay. But I want people to be able to do it if they want to. Okay. Because I know things are needed right now. People want to be we need each other right now. And so this is what it's supposed to do. Okay. I just got chills with that. So my guides know that this is my intention, is to just bring us together to do some positive things and move us forward in our spiritual growth. Okay. And if you want to see the, if you put in the search engine in YouTube, you can put in Intuitiview and then put in Robin Williams and it'll pop right up, the conversation we did. Okay. Yes, $25 is cheap. I'm not an expensive, no, it's not cheap. So if you're interested in any of those, all you need to do is send an email. It's in the description. Just send me an email and say, I'd be interested in hearing about all the classes or just this class. And you'll get the information next month. And it'll just give you the information, what it is, and how to sign up. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And you'll get a little email saying, I got your request, and you'll get information next month. That way you know you're on the list. Okay? All right, everyone. Have a great night and a great week next week. And I may or may not be on next Sunday. I think next Sunday is Easter Sunday. So depending on what's happening, but I'll put it in the post section so that you know if we're going to have a show next week or not. Okay. All right, everyone, take care. See you next time. Bye.